Alright, so in this video I just wanted to make a little point about current political events. So you might have heard that yesterday the government put forward a motion to call an early general election, which was voted on by Parliament and was then rejected. And if you listen to interviews on the news with Boris Johnson, he's been repeating a certain line about this, which you can hear in this clip, for example.
We've got the most peculiar situation tonight, which is that I think for the first time in democratic history, first time in the history of this country, the leader of the opposition has actually declined the offer of a general election, and that's what he's paid to do. That's what the opposition is meant to do. They're meant to contest elections against the government. I can only.
So I've heard this a few times now from Boris over the past couple of days, and I thought I'd check whether it's actually true that nobody had ever refused such a motion previously in the entire democratic history of our country, as Boris Johnson says. I mean, you can never take a statement by a politician at face value, and you can especially never take a statement by Boris Johnson at face value. So I went on the internet and I started looking for some kind of historical record of all the times that motions for general elections have been put forward and whether they've always been accepted. I was expecting to have to look through a list of these things. But the funny thing was, it turned out that I didn't have to go very far back in the historical record, because the requirement for Parliament to approve the calling of a snap election was actually only introduced in 2011 with the Fixed Term Parliaments Act. Previously, the power to call the snap election was what's known as a royal prerogative, which means that formally it's the power of the Queen, but in practice the Prime Minister would tell the Queen what to do. So it was effectively under the sole control of the Prime Minister. And there was no question of the opposition refusing back then, because they simply didn't have the power to do that. The whole point of the Fixed Term Parliaments Act was to give Parliament more power to rectify this situation where the Prime Minister could call a general election at his own convenience, without the opposition having any say over it. The sort of thing you saw happening today, where the opposition refuses to agree to the snap election because they'd rather it be done a different time or whatever, is precisely what the Fixed Term Parliaments Act was intended to allow for. It was explicitly made constitutional. It just didn't happen yet in the 8 years since the Act was passed, but it has happened now for the first time. In fact, the only time between 2011 and now when a snap election was called was in 2017 when Theresa May called her snap election. You'll probably remember that that one was approved, so it is technically true that a snap election has never been refused by Parliament before, but the time frame in which that has been even possible to occur is just the last 8 years, rather than the whole of British democratic history. Furthermore, there's only been one snap election in that time frame, so there's been no time for any pattern to emerge or any precedent to be said to exist. So Boris Johnson's line here is just a little bit misleading, but that's politics for you.